It's June 19th, Juneteenth. It's a celebration centered around the end of slavery in the United States, and in the wake of the Black Lives Matter protests, there are pushes for more official recognition of the holiday in both the public and private sectors. And joining me now to talk about the history of this holiday is Chris Miller, Senior Director of Education for the National Underground Railroad Museum and Freedom Center. And thanks so much for joining us to talk about this. There may be some misunderstanding about what exactly Juneteenth is. People will look at it as the end of slavery, but it comes better than 2 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation. Explain more for us about Juneteenth.
Absolutely. The signing of the Emancipation Proclamation was done on January 1st of 1863. That was in the midst of a civil war, a war between the United States of America and the Confederate States of America. Of course, slavery still continued within those Confederate states. In 1865, in June 19th, 1865, General Gordon Granger, a Union general, rode into Galveston, Texas, where the last of the American enslaved were located at, and gave General Order Number 3. And this order signified the end of the war, but also the end of chattel slavery. And that is the origins of Juneteenth.
Now, a lot of people are not familiar with the history of Juneteenth. I know when I was growing up, what we heard about it came from family and our neighborhoods, our neighbors and that sort of thing, and it certainly was not in the textbooks. Are we seeing more emphasis on it now? Are we learning more about it from our establishments?
Absolutely. It's important that we correct the narrative that we've been taught throughout the years. When we talk about the Civil War, when we talk about the narrative of justice, freedom, and democracy, stories like Juneteenth are omitted and left out. July 4th is a popular holiday. It celebrates the beginning of this country, but keeping in mind that people were oppressed at that particular time. And so Juneteenth shows that progress and that semblance of freedom and the pursuit of working towards the ideas of what we proclaimed. And so what we're looking for is a day of observance to be recognized on the calendar. And it's great that employers are recognizing this, but we want to make sure it's just not for 2020, just because we're in a pandemic and because we have the social unrest that is going on now. This is something that needs to be a part of our attention moving forward, so that we can have an inclusive, greater understanding of our history and the contributions that Black Americans have made in the development of this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a day off but it definitely needs to be observed in some type of way to be recognized. This is part of the American narrative. The American narrative is incomplete if we don't accurately tell the stories of freedom. And Juneteenth is a part of that narrative. Make it also like a day of service. MLK Day is really a day of service. So we ask people to be of service to their community. And so maybe Juneteenth can be that, but also too, it is a celebration. It's celebrating the efforts of those who worked on the Underground Railroad, who were abolitionists, who were soldiers, who fought in the Army, bring chattel slavery to an end.
All right, Chris Miller, thank you so much for joining us and explaining Juneteenth.